Hello my beautiful hammerheads and welcome back to another Black Library review. This time, The Iron Kingdom, the fifth Dawn of Fire novel. And I don't know, I have mixed feeling about this. I have the book in my hands because I'm terrible with names and I will use this to remember who has a part to play in this story and who has no part to tell in this story. No, my freshly primed bases. Okay, yeah, so the synopsis of the story. Yeah, well, before I get into this, a very simple explanation for my mixed feelings is Nick Kyme, the author, hints things in the beginning and during the middle of the story until its conclusion at the end. And I really enjoyed the end, not only because the story was finished and the book was done, but the ending was very good with a shocking surprise with it. Yeah, in the end, everything makes sense. But how the story was told, I don't know. It kind of left me feel wanting and not in a good kind of way. I wanted a bit more. It felt a little bit repetitive. It made me feel like going back into my youth when I learned to play the violin and with the dub 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 dub. It's the same in classical music, and I don't want to play this down. This is a good book. It's not bad, it's a solid novel. We are 5 or 6 years into the Indomitus Crusade, so in the early beginning still, and we're following the fleet Praxitis. Fleet Praxis. Sorry, yeah, me and names. Um, yeah, so Fleet Praxis is basically on the verge of we have no food left, we have no fuel, we have no ammo, we need to resupply. And the planet of Canada is our first line in defense, or the new line of defense the Imperium is building right now. And well, we have already known characters of Canada in the second novel, Gate of Bones. The House of Knights were from Canada, the princess who died, and her uncle, and some other people. We already know them, this is great. And so they're bringing the remains of the princess back to, well, her mother and her people. Her head was being remodeled and she was kept in stasis. But as the ship or the whole fleet is in pretty poor condition, the stasis field wasn't the best. So she did not arrive in the best kind of way she could have arrived. So we have, well, the fleet master, of course. We have the Queen of Canada on the two opposite sides. And even before they make contact to each other, the Imperial side is already, yeah, this is ours. Give us your food, give us your fuel. And the people on the ground are just like, what is happening? Why are you here? No one told us. And everything in this book feels like a sequence of unfortunate events. Kinda makes sense in the end. Not kinda, it totally makes sense in the end. Um, but while reading this, it felt pretty. Why are they so stupid? Why are they doing the things like this? Some of the things and the actions I could explain because, just like with, okay, we're going down, we're taking the stuff we need, is that the Imperial side is seeing Kamada as, yeah, this is our planet. They are Imperials. So we don't have to explain ourselves. And the other side is basically like, we were alone for so long. We did not know if the Imperium is still there after the Great Rift. What are you doing? So, okay, here and there are some small excuses, but ultimately it's just a series of unfortunate events. But yeah, before I get ahead of myself, we also have Adeptus Astartes of the Storm Reapers, which are in my mind a founding of the White Scars with our main character Ojin, who's a lovable character. We have the Marines Malevolent, who are dumbasses, and I did not like them, but they are not supposed to be liked, so this was a good thing. We have Vikalan is back, of course. Magda Cash is back of the second novel, which is great. I love seeing those two. And we have Black Templars back again, once again, and Red Corsairs. Oh, and there is a renegade night house on the planet itself. But the Black Templars had an oath made to Canada that they're going to fight with them, and the Red Corsairs are just like being pirates, and yeah, well, they're flying around in space, capturing ships and stuff. What the Red Corsairs are doing. So, Red Corsairs being Red Corsairs. The renegade house on the planet itself, they're just rebelling against the queen because their household was taken from them and they want revenge. They want to show, okay, this is us, we're still a power in here. And they're also being led by a priest, basically, who survived in the wilds, came back, and everyone is, how did he survive? So, again, questions without real answers. And he tells them of the ancient Canada god Hearn. And, well, he basically starts a cult there, which is great. Not the cult thing, but how this was told. I really, really enjoyed this. And it hints at later storylines, which I'm looking forward to. So this was great. So you realize I'm jumping back and forth with things as my mind just comes back to those things. I don't know why my mind is just jumping back and forth. Magda and so Magda Cash, the Mordian scout sniper, and Vikalan, our custodes, have a really great conversation in the chapel on Fleet Praxis. And she seeks some peace and quiet and is praying to the Emperor. And it bugged me so hard in the second novel that she survived, and there was no explanation on how she survived. It was just like, okay, here I am. I don't know how, but I survived. And this is a plot point in here, which is great because there is a historiator who just comes up to her. How did you survive? What happened back there? And she avoids those questions. She never wants to think about them and the events on Gathalamor. So this left me wanting. This is a slight spoiler here, I'm sorry, but if you're reading this and you're hoping for an answer, it's not in this one. Which kind of made me feel bad because I'm going to read the Dawn of Fire series. I stand behind the Dawn of Fire series. I enjoy it. But this left a sour taste in my mouth, as this feels like pretty baseless cliffhanger, as yeah, if you want to know what happened to her, you have to read the next novel. But it would have been so much better if you at least give us something. a little bit. And all we get is there is another talent of the Emperor, Cyrenial, Silent Sister, who pretty much knows what Magda Cash is. So as of right now, we can just speculate. Is she a saint? Is she a psyker? Is she a blank? Which she probably isn't. But Cyrenial knows something, and both of them get to be best friends, which is awesome. In the end, Cyrenial gifts her a little token, which means sisterhood in the Silent Sisterhood. This is so sweet. I really love this. I love the dynamic between those two, by the way. Those are great. So, as you can see, there are really, really good points in this book. It just, there are some sour points in there. But again, I get ahead of myself. The story really kicks in at a banquet in which the ambassador of the Imperium and the queen and her staff will have a banquet. There are many people there. Of course, the talents are there, the Mordians are there, all of the knights' households and stuff. So many, many important people. And then the crap hits the fan. Stuff happens because the queen is feeling like she's going to lose her power, she's going to lose everything, their way of life, they're going to lose Canada as it is. And in her staff, there is always one side with, don't do this, you're going to regret it. Her brother even says, don't do it, you're going to regret it. And the other side of the staff is, we're going to war. The Imperium has nothing to do here. We are on our own. Which is kind of bad if you think about it for a minute, because you are just one planet and the Imperium is in the galaxy. They have more resources than you. But yeah, the equivalent of the Red Wedding happens. Many people die. This is so sad. And this was the moment in my mind where I really started to pay attention to the book, which is also kind of sad that it took so long. But I was genuinely sad as some of my favorite characters died. So kudos to you, Mr. Kyme. You made me feel my feelings. And everyone is following their own storyline. The only sane people in all of this who are thinking about how could we have done better are those people who are not in charge, who have nothing to say, like Magda Cash, or one of the, I forgot her name, Niova Ariadne, one of the Quartermaster Seniores. She's also like, we could have done better. There are so many things going wrong here. And yeah, well, they have nothing to say in the matter. After our equivalent of the Red Wedding, everyone is on their own quest to do things. Queen is on the warpath. The Imperium is, yeah, well, we have to do something. We don't want to wreck this planet. We just want to teach them a lesson. The dead equivalent of, we are not mad, we're just disappointed. Magda Cash and her new BFF are on the path of, we have to get the message out. The Black Templars are, okay, we don't know what to do, we're just going to do nothing, because they swore an oath to the Emperor, they swore an oath to Canada. They can't do anything without breaking the oath to, well, the other. And the Red Corsairs, again, being Red Corsairs. One thing I enjoyed was the relationship between Ariadne and the Astartes Ojin, as they're filling the gap of the take human A to Astartes A, put them together, they're being friends relationship we need in these books. And I enjoyed them. They're great. He has a nickname for her, which is sweet. And she is like, oh, there is transhuman dread, but I like you. I don't know. I already lost my line of thought in here. And this whole review is taking too long already. How the storylines develop is okay. Some are great, one of which is the renegade household, how they're becoming a cult, and what happens in the end with them is awesome. As I've said, I'm really excited to see more of them. And the storyline with Magda Cash is sweet with Cyrenial, but I don't know, as I've said, it left me feel wanting and not with a good taste in my mouth. The whole storyline with Queen Ulla makes total sense in the end. And the end was so good. But the Black Templars they weren't even Black Templary in the Black Templar kind of way. I don't know how to explain this, because they were passive for the majority of the story, which makes sense, by the way. So here I will defend the decision of Mr. Kyme. Do I like this decision? No, but I will defend it because it makes sense. The Red Corsair storyline is great. And I reiterate, especially the end, because we have so much awesome things in here. And this is kind of going into spoiler territory. So after this, I will end the review because there is nothing really to say about this. As I've said, it's a good book, it's not bad. I just feel there could have been more lore, more information, and it feels like a filler episode of Dragon Ball, which is still kind of fun. The action is good. I enjoyed it, even though I'm not a real action fan in books or in general. If you would come to me and tell me the story in about 10-15 minutes, what's happening, it would have been awesome. But as I've said, I don't know. But so I'm kind of arguing with myself here if it is a 6 or a 7. Because a 6 feels too low and a 7, it kind of feels right. But yeah, it's a 7. I will stand my ground with this. For me, it's a 7. Because it opens up so much for the series. So it kind of feels like book 3, which is kind of sad. So with my rating, in the end, so a little bit spoilery, I'm sorry, but this is just too good to not talk about it. Because we already know the Athanames, I believe they're called, the blades who can cut into reality, and you're basically porting to another place. Yeah, there is another one in here. And the Red Corsairs are basically discovering it by accident. One of them, the leader, has a sword. It shatters and the Athaname is just in there, and it's just like, oh wow, what is this? What happened? Because he's cutting and reality opens up and they're just standing on the bridge of the main ship of Fleet Praxis. It's like, what? And in the end, they're congregating with other people who have ether names, and we know some of them. Some of them are new, which is awesome. Because we already know the word bearers are here. We know Corferon is here. Yes, the name I'm going to say is making the child cry outside. I don't know if you can hear this, but it's Erebus. They're calling to Erebus, the most hated person in 40k and 30k and ever. Yes, I want to see more. But yeah. Oh, and all the other people with ether names are other hands of the War Master. Yeah. So, as I've said, I'm excited for the next entry of the Dawn of Fire series, but we will have to wait and see. But what are your thoughts on Iron Kingdom, the 5th entry in the Dawn of Fire series? Please leave your thoughts and questions in the comment section down below. I am keen to know what you have to say. And while you're down there, do all the YouTube stuff because hitting buttons is fun. Have a great day, my friend. Stay fantastic. Stay hydrated. And I will see you in the next video. Bye!